Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
I'm not sure if Kevin Durant is a problem, but it's fairly obvious he has a problem. It's called happiness, and he cannot find it or he cannot make it last. Either way, the latest rumor that Durant did not speak to Frank Vogel for a month is just the latest example. If true, it means Vogel was either clownishly incompetent and incapable of holding his star players accountable, or KD sabotaged Vogel's first season with a selfish detachment that borders on reckless and irresponsible. Because KD knows how much an NBA title would mean to Phoenix. He knows what the Suns mean in the Valley. I've heard him talk about it, and if he shut out Vogel, then he effectively guaranteed a broken, disconnected team that would have no shot against real opposition, and that is pretty bad. And that is why the Suns need to explore trading Durant, just to see if they can field a more complete, connected basketball team without him. If not, the only hope is that Durant's sixth head coach since leaving Golden State will have the magic formula. Because if the Suns are going to make a real run at a ring next year, they need to overcome whatever roster flaws they possess with elite chemistry, passion, internal belief, and willpower. So let's hope Mike Budenholzer can bring out the best in Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal before the big three bring out the worst in us. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
Who's the leader out there right now?
Coach is the leader.
Nobody on the floor? You don't have a floor leader?
We all speak up and talk, but the leader's the coach.
That was from April 27th, Kevin Durant, during the course of the Minnesota playoff series when they talked about, and leadership was talked about all year long with the Phoenix Suns. Let's make no mistake about it. But he deflected, said the leader is the coach. Yeah, we all talk, we speak up, but the coach is the leader. There's been not a lot of questions answered, but I'm going to operate under the premise, Bick, that the reason why the Frank Vogel move was made is that the Phoenix Suns, despite what was said during the weird Wednesday press conference after they got eliminated, the Phoenix Suns brass, Matt Ishbia, Josh Bartelstein, James Jones, everybody in the front office knew what was lacking from the head coaching position. They knew of these barriers that impeded what the Suns could have been this year. That's the reason why they made that move. And I don't think Kevin Durant's stance is going to change. What he said April 27th opened eyes, like the coach is the leader. Kevin Durant, his leadership style has been talked about basically since his Oklahoma City days. And it was really questioned for the first time when Oklahoma City was on the doorstep of challenging for an NBA championship. They fell short against Golden State, and he left town. His leadership was questioned in Golden State. His leadership was obviously questioned in Brooklyn. It's certainly been questioned in Phoenix. I think that was a big part of this maneuver. Not only getting rid of Frank Vogel, but I'm going to assume that the Suns made it very clear to Mike Budenholzer, you're the guy. You make this work.
Yeah.
It's not just about X's and O's and maximizing Kevin Durant as a player and making him happy in the offense.
Right.
There needs to be chemistry woven throughout this thing, and it didn't happen with the last guy.
No.
That's what you need to do.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I agree with all of that. And when you reverse engineer, there's a lot of questions that I find to be troublesome. And that would be, okay, we know that Frank Vogel communicated with Matt Ishbia when Matt was in town. We know that Frank Vogel believed after a couple games of that playoff series that he still had the backing of the owner.
That was before Game 4.
That was before, that was before Game 4, and it made people really wonder because if there had been communication between Frank Vogel and Matt Ishbia, I'm sure Frank Vogel would say, "Listen, Matt, I'm trying, but Kevin won't even talk to me. Kevin's not listening to me." So what else would make Frank Vogel believe he's got the support of the empathy and the support of the owner if it wasn't that the owner knew his side of the story, that the owner knew what was going on internally with this basketball team that really looks alarming from afar right now.
Yeah.
But I do think you're right. I do think that the people who have tried to scapegoat Frank Vogel are wrong, because this group, this particular pairing of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker specifically, they need somebody that they're going to respect. They need somebody that can talk and tell them hard truths. As I said yesterday, in basketball, the phrase is they need to allow somebody to coach them hard. And they weren't allowing Frank Vogel to coach them hard because they didn't believe in Frank Vogel. So I do agree that there's something amiss with that. And the most proper course correction is to try to bring in a real leader. Now, I'm not sure Mike Budenholzer's got a reputation for being a real leader. Again, I'm aware of Mike Budenholzer and his career arc, but people who know him best say he will make players accountable. So if that is true, then he's going to bring something Frank Vogel could not. So the question becomes, can you get this basketball team connected? If you don't mind, could you play the Stephen A. Smith cut in full again? Because I want people to hear the distinction he makes between a guy who shut out his coach and the reason why it might have a bad influence on the team.
Kevin Durant in Phoenix is a problem. It is a problem. We don't see it because the stats are there. Him and Booker average 27 points per game and what have you. But they say Kevin Durant is never happy. They say that he went more than a month without even talking to the head coach. They say that he doesn't look happy there. And all he wants to do is play when the game starts and tip-off time arrives. But when it comes to ingratiating yourself with your teammates and getting along with everybody and stuff like that, he just lives in his own world. He's not hated. He's not despised. He's not doing anything negative. He's not being somebody that's two-faced and behind people back doing stuff. No, that's not who Kevin Durant is. But keeping to himself. Why does that matter? It's similar to what he was doing in Golden State before he ultimately departed.
So there, I think that's a more well-reasoned take. Like, if you're going to make fun of Stephen A. Smith for reporting that people are saying Devin Booker's not happy and he wants to get in Madison Square Garden, it's a very flimsy kind of take, if you will.
Okay.
But that is a little more nuanced that resonates and sounds like the truth to me.
Can we make fun of Stephen A. Smith for this?
So you trade him? So
you have to.
What's the move?
You do.
And who takes him?
Because I'm just
A lot of people take him. He's Kevin Durant.
Yeah, who?
A lot of people take him.
What's the right place? If you're saying it's the kind of thing like the Knicks are too young, they don't want to mess up what the Knicks have going. Obviously, they're banged up. You don't want to mess up what's happening in OKC. What's the right fit?
Personality-wise. I'm just talking about his personality. I'm not talking about whether or not it's going to fit cap-wise or anything. Just his personality. I think the perfect place for him would have been the Lakers because of LeBron.
Boy. Oh, boy. Keep in mind, finally, that, okay, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are going off to the Olympics. I'm telling you, it's going to be a weird deal if they're suddenly joyous and emoting on the court. It's going to be a hard watch for Suns fans. We'll be happy that they come home with gold medals, but I think it's going to be difficult if Team USA gets the version of those guys that we wish we had. But the head coach of that team is Steve Kerr. His assistant is Eric Spoelstra. Mm-hmm. It's Golden State, Miami. It's the teams that have been kind of rumored for landing spots for KD. Yeah. I agree with you, Vinny. I think that if Mike Budenholzer can come into this with eyes wide open, knowing exactly what he's got to get done, that this is the best course of action. But these guys have got to commit emotionally, and they've got to lead. They can't be this too cool for school kind of vibe. You don't win like that.
No, the more we learn about what happened and what derailed the Suns season, there's a word that just sticks in my head, and it's eggshells. It was not just Frank Vogel walking on eggshells and trying to deal with his team from a combative standpoint. It was, remember what was in that report? Kevin Durant was unhappy with his role in the offense, but his teammates felt like he didn't do a good enough job vocalizing that to the leadership of the team, the coaching staff of the team. He's walking on eggshells. Moving forward, if you're keeping this thing together with Mike Budenholzer as the head coach, here's my word of advice. If there's eggshells, get a broom or put on a pair of shoes and start walking normal, because they can't do this again. Great point.
I agree with that. And so I hope that's an avenue. I hope that's a way out, because it sounds like it to me. Reasonably, that sounds like an out for me, a way out of this mess.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta.
Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.